I'd make a short video to show you some of the methods that I use to dry flowers in case you had a special spray or bouquet, Valentine's flowers that you wanted to dry yourself. So there's a few different methods, but you actually don't need any equipment. So I've got the traditional presses where you can press foliage and they come out flat, and then you can do things like coasters and name initials and things like that, where they require them flat. If you wanted to do more of a 3D, like something like this for example, and you wanted to keep the flower's shape, then there's other methods like silica gel, which you can get from Blue Star Packaging, and there's a discount code if you go onto Resin Supplies Den, which is a Facebook group full of lovely sellers. Warm welcome there for you. So this has been in there for about 3 days, and it's advisable to check it every 2-3 days. So this silica gel for a big tub like that, you're talking about £20, and that should dry quite a few flowers. So this is one of the roses that I just sort of put in a silica gel bed, as it were. So I laid a layer, popped the rose in, and then pop some silica on the top. Now that looks actually quite lifelike, doesn't it? It's preserved some of its colour, although it's gone darker. So that's done. The way I speeded up the process is to take out the middle. So if you take out the middle and the outside, then you can speed up the process, because sometimes these middle flowers can get quite tightly curled and they can go mouldy sometimes. So I know it sounds quite harsh to do this, but these won't go to waste. So I just put these on to the tray, and they will, like these ones, they will just naturally dry. So the tray has got air to circulate, and just put it on a sunny windowsill. So these are things that I'm air drying. So you've made a little pocket in there, and you could, because some of the moulds aren't as big as this flower, and say you wanted a representation of all the flowers, then you wouldn't want the rose this big. So you wanted both types of carnation. You can see this is quite wet in here actually, where it's been quite close to the oasis. So ideally you wouldn't want one that's wet. Okay, so I'll leave that one to dry off. So I think that's where I kept this oasis wet. I think that one's got wet. So anyway, that's what you do. You take out the outside petals, the inside petals. For a carnation, for example, you could dry the whole thing. So say you had a bottle, you could cut and make a lid and sort of cut and shunt almost, and then pour in the silica and you could get the stem. However, look at that, this stem is already rooted, got a tiny little root on it, which is another way. Carnations take really well to rooting just in water. So for example, if you wanted to make a actual cutting, it's not too hard to put them in water, and you'll see that, for example, so these have been in water for 2 days, that one's already got a root. So you could actually make a plant from carnations. So let me get another rose and I'll show you. I don't think this one's not wet in the middle. No. So again, work out the central petals, because you don't want them to go rotten. They won't, none of this, all this bouquet, none of it will go to waste. So take out a few of these. You can either dry the stem, or you can, with the rose, or you can put the stem, dry the stem like air dry it, or dry it separately, and then you can attach it afterwards. So That looks pretty, doesn't it? I am going to dry it in here. So because of the depth, I'm not going to use the stalk. In fact, I'm going to use that. Okay, so I'm going to cut the stalk. I think it's lovely when these dry, especially if you've got it in resin and you can see the backs. So you would make a little nest for it. You can put it up, you can put it down, it all depends. I'm going to put it down so that stem, which holds quite a lot of moisture, goes into the silica, and then I'm just going to pour gently in and around, in and around. I'm going to build up the side so that it doesn't open out completely. So it holds its shape. Okay, and then let's just tilt you over. Because the silicone can weigh down the petals, and if you don't want it completely flat, you want some of the open petals. Okay, so I don't want it. Really, in an ideal world, you wouldn't be handling the petals as roughly as I am, because you don't want to get any kind of bruising. So you'd be taking a lot more care. Okay. So really I needed a deeper pot even still. Right, the lid. You can pop the lid on and you can turn this. So my intention is to turn that in a day or so to make sure those tops of those petals also dry with the silica gel. So that's one way to do it with silica gel. It's the granules that you get in the sachets from a handbag. That's what it is that keeps the box fresh. However, you can also press them in a press. There's two presses. These are microwave presses. This is from Hobbycraft. I think it was about a tenner or maybe 15. This I can only put small petals in, and so I could do the petals that I've taken off. I could do them. I put it in the microwave with a glass of water to help with moisture, and this would be dry at about 1 minute 30. And then when you've dried things in the microwave, I put them just in between paper, just to stop it from reabsorbing any moisture in the air. And I put my little forget-me-nots in this little book, because this paper is actually blotting paper and it absorbs any moisture, so they won't reabsorb moisture. This is a bigger press, and this originally has some gerbers in it, so I put this press in for a minute. This one, because it's bigger, it didn't need any water, and then just for safekeeping and so they didn't curl up, I just popped them in. And this is a traditional press. You could do it straight in here. So here's some leaves that I did. They still smell like eucalyptus. Really nice. And I think there's more leaves, and these are some gerberas. So these are dried in the microwave press, and now they're just sandwiched with some pressure just until I need them. So they'll make some really nice coasters. So if you don't have any equipment, you don't want to buy the silica sand, which is understandable if you're just drying them at home, and you don't necessarily want to take any cut-ins. By the way, if you do want to take a cut-in, the best place to do it is from a little node. Okay, so that's going to get tiny little roots. I only did it a couple of days ago because I only picked this beautiful funeral flowers up on Saturday. So these are air drying nicely. So again, I just removed the middle and the outside petals, and these are looking lovely, holding their shape because they're upside down. Again, if you're doing this at home, try not to handle them, especially white, because the white petals can bruise quite easily, and then when you put them in resin, they can sometimes go transparent or even worse, brown. So thank you. I hope that this has been useful and that you won't shy away from preserving your own flowers. You can just hang them up. You don't have to have any other bits and pieces. Have a lovely day.